Hello geeks of the internet and welcome back to The Good, the Bad and the Ugly, the ultimate review series where I review a good film slash TV show, a bad film slash TV show, and an ugly film slash TV show. After an almost 3-month long hiatus, we are back in a new studio, which is still kind of being set up as we speak, and hopefully we'll have some slightly better content, but probably not. Oh well. Let's begin with The Good, the Bob's Burgers movie. You may be thinking, Geeky, that released in May, and technically yes, it did. I stubbornly refused to see this in cinemas and instead watched The Rise of Gru. It released on streaming in July, which was in fact during my hiatus, so it's fair game and you can't... Oh. You don't care. Okay. Well, I was a little bit skeptical about this movie. I've never watched any Bob's Burgers content before, so I had no clue who Bob was and what a burger was. I thought this was probably not going to be good because I thought it would be very similar to the Simpsons movie and just The Simpsons in general, and I don't particularly like The Simpsons, but I was pleasantly surprised with a very zany movie that really does make me want to watch the original TV show. If you don't know, this movie is about this guy, Bob, and his family as they try to save their burger shop and solve a murder. As you do. All of the characters are really great and a lot more than just character tropes, which adult animation shows do tend to default to. We have Bob, the dad and owner of the shop that's constantly stressed trying to provide for his family, Linda, the optimistic mother that tries to encourage Bob, and then the 3 children who all have very different goals. Tina, the oldest one, who really wants to date Jimmy Pesto Jr. I personally wouldn't take his last name if I were her. And Tina is pretty much my least favourite child out of the 3 because she's occasionally creepy and the main joke between her and Jimmy repeats itself a smidge too much. We have Gene, whose goal is to revolutionize pop music with a weird napkin and plastic fork instrument. I think he's pretty funny. And then my favourite child, who's also sort of the main character of this movie, Louise. She's the youngest child and wants to prove just how adult she is, which is kinda cliche, but can also be really funny. I also love all of the supporting cast. They're all very zany and offbeat in the best possible way. The Fisher family especially are very funny, but I'll let you watch it to work it out for yourself. And this movie is also a musical. Sort of. You see, the movie has a very weird number of songs. It doesn't just have like one song at the end, which happens with some movies, but it also doesn't have all too many songs. It just has 4 musical numbers. The intro song, the random song in the middle, the villain song, which is the best song, and the only one that's not on the soundtrack because it spoils the movie. It's called Not That Evil. Listen to it now, please. And the finale song. We so could have had like 1 or 2 more songs. Something I hear a lot of people saying as a compliment to the movie is how it stays true to the original in terms of scope. Now, of course, I haven't seen Bob's Burgers, so I don't entirely know about the scope of the original series, but I do appreciate how, I don't know, easy to watch this movie is. It doesn't feel too daunting just watching this movie without any prior knowledge, and I love that. However, due to the fact that the scope is so small, it takes place in just one small town, it does get a bit boring. I feel like if it had a few more songs, then I probably wouldn't have had this problem at all, but it's basically just a nitpick. This is also a pretty good looking movie. You don't see a lot of 2D animation in cinemas at the moment, but this is really nice looking. It also features just some of my favorite kinds of comedy. It's weird, it's quirky, it's not like other comedies, and sometimes the bizarreness of it all is enough to make me laugh. I don't feel like there's really too much more to say. It's great, watch it please. Has flaws, but that doesn't matter because it's funny. 8 out of 10 and 8 here. Now, next up, the bad. Pinocchio. The fact that this is real could just be the sole reason to put this in the bad, but unfortunately there are plenty more things to be annoyed at with this movie. You see, this is the latest in the long list of bad Disney remakes, being a remake of a 1940 animated film. Why would you do that? It's over 80 years old. This movie is more or less the same as the original, with the only major changes either being pointless, terrible, or pointless and terrible. More on that later. First, a brief plot synopsis. An inventor named Geppetto is sad because his wife and son both died. He makes a puppet that looks a bit like his son, and then whilst he sleeps, the blue fairy appears and brings the puppet, aka Pinocchio, to life. Pinocchio is shortly after sent to school by Geppetto. The school doesn't let him in, and then Honest John and Gideon take Pinocchio and tempt him to go to Stromboli's circus. Stromboli bullies Pinocchio. Pinocchio meets a new character who then sings a song and then pretty much leaves the story. Stromboli locks Pinocchio up. Jiminy helps free him. Then shortly after, Pinocchio gets grabbed off the street by a coach going to a morally ambiguous theme park. So he hangs out in the theme park, gets kind of turned into a donkey. Then Jiminy helps him escape. They then go to find Geppetto, who's then been swallowed whole by a weird fish thing, and then frees him. The end. So it's just Pinocchio. Why make this, you may ask? I personally would usually say because Disney wants money. But this released exclusively on Disney Plus, which struck me as super weird. This film feels like it was engineered for the sole purpose of making money, yet it didn't have a theatrical release. Like, it's good that it didn't have a theatrical release, but Disney seems to have pulled out all the money-making stops, like nostalgia, celebrity voices, etc., and then puts Pinocchio exclusively on Disney Plus. Does Disney know that by making a movie a streaming-only release, you're limiting the amount of money it will make? Does Disney even like money? What's the goal? It wasn't really made for money, apparently. It certainly wasn't made because Disney had genius new ideas. So what was the point? Oh, of course, it must have been to show off all of the new actors for this film. This might just be the only thing that this has over the original. Most of the actors are extremely competent. The guy that plays Pinocchio, Benjamin Evan Ainsworth, does a great job. And his singing is pretty good. Joseph Gordon-Levitt does a good job as well as Jiminy. Luke Evans and Cynthia Erivo are great, but they have very small parts. Kean Carthy injects life into the absolutely soulless new character for this movie as well. All of the side characters and ensemble are good, and that just leaves two characters. First, let's talk about the one that I like. Keegan-Michael Key as Honest John. Toad in the Mario movie himself. He does such a great job. He just oozes charisma. His song is awesome, lots of fun, and then only one more character to talk about. The headline act for this movie, the thing that was making everybody watch it, the big name, Tom Hanks as Geppetto. He is so awful in this movie. He's sort of trying to put on an Italian accent for the whole movie, and it's not good. He just seems bored, and to be fair, I was too. This movie has plenty of parts that make it worse than the original as well, especially the whole thing where they just don't seem to care about what the original stood for. Remember how Pinocchio used to be a cautionary tale that had a good message and well-defined morals? Say goodbye to that, I guess. The Blue Fairy does not appear at all after When You Wish Upon a Star, so cannot give Pinocchio advice. The whole part of the movie about lying being bad is changed in a very bizarre way also. In the original, the Blue Fairy shows up when Pinocchio is locked in Stromboli's cage, and Pinocchio lies about what happened in order to get him there, and his nose gets longer. The Blue Fairy tells him that lying is bad, and then fixes his nose and frees him. Well, in this lovely iteration, Jiminy shows up to free Pinocchio, and Pinocchio lies again. His nose gets longer. Jiminy says that it's bad. Pinocchio realizes that if he lies, he can get Jiminy to the key on the wall. So he lies again, and ultimately gets what he wants. Is the moral that lying is good? And the whole Pleasure Island thing? Yeesh. I think that sequence is one of the creative parts of the movie, but the morals are also whack. Pinocchio arrives at Pleasure Island, and unlike in the original, where everyone was drinking alcohol, smoking, and gambling, in this one, they drink root beer and destroy things in Pleasure Island that are meant to be destroyed. The goal of the attractions is to make the children destroy the things. What have they done wrong? Why are they getting punished? What's the moral? And also the circumstances in which Pinocchio is taken to Pleasure Island are bad too. In the original, Pinocchio does something that is morally wrong, and the movie knows this. He is tempted by Honest John to go to Pleasure Island, but Disney cannot have a protagonist that does bad things, now can they? In this rendition, Pinocchio is accidentally grabbed off the streets to go to Pleasure Island. And for what? For Luke Evans to sing a song? It might be the best song in the movie, but who cares if the moralness is diminished by it? This movie has such pointless add-ons, like Fabiana, the new character that does nothing for the plot except for adding like half a song, the Pleasure Island thing so Luke Evans can sing a song, and Geppetto having a dead son for the sake of, you guessed it, adding another song. That is the only point for these add-ons. This movie is stupid. It also features a lot of quirky, haha funny random lol XD moments that Disney remakes are known for, such as Sophia the Seagull, who reminds me of Sisu from Raya and the Last Dragon, which is not a good thing. And of course, we can't forget this joke.
We need a simple, strong stage name. Shlab Oakley. Chad Log? I've got it. Chris Pine.
Did Chris Pine exist in the 1800s? Is he a time traveler? But maybe, because it's live action, this movie might have graphical advantages over the original. Oh wait, this movie is stupid, I forgot. Some parts of this movie just look bizarrely realistic, like Honest John and Jiminy Cricket. Like, who thought this would be a good idea? This works in animation, but here, ew. So we have some hyper-realistic elements, and over here we have Pinocchio looking like a wooden smurf. I haven't slept in weeks. Pinocchio just looks so awful, especially with the weird close-ups, and for some reason the cat and fish are CGI and not even realistic CGI like Honest John. Guys, you know that cats are real, right? You can just get a cat. Figure doesn't do too many things that cats wouldn't be able to do in real life. Why? Just why? This movie is so soulless. It has no purpose, not even to make money. 4 out of 10. Bad, but not that bad, I guess. D tier. And finally, The Ugly, a bit of a callback to the terrible first episode of The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly, High School Musical, the series, Season 3. How am I reviewing 3 musicals this episode? Now, of course, this is not my first High School Musical, the series rodeo. I watched both of the previous seasons, and I even reviewed Season 2 in the first Good, the Bad, and the Ugly ever. Don't watch it. It's not funny, it's bad. You can watch the other ones, especially The Good, the Bad, and the Ugly finale. I fight a dragon. I'm hoping to redeem myself for that awful review by watching another season of this accursed show. This specific season of the show has a gimmick. George Backward Sweater Man would be very, very proud, and that gimmick is the fact that instead of being at a high school, as the show's title would suggest, this season takes place at a summer camp. It's Camp Rock without the Jonas Brothers. why. And the musical they have chosen to perform this year is Frozen! Yeah, woo! I love Frozen! Frozen nostalgia! Yay! Oh yeah, because we're at the summer camp, they have an excuse to get actors out of the story. Seb and Big Red just don't come to the summer camp, which is very disappointing because Big Red is my favorite character. And Miss Jen also isn't there, which is slightly less disappointing because she's not my favorite character. I feel like I didn't need to explain that. Why am I here? And we also have one more character that doesn't come to the summer camp. The main character of this show, Nini. Jeez, Olivia Rodrigo is too famous for this show and is rarely ever in it now. Oh, also she quits the show forever in the finale. So we now have a show without a main character. How positively neat. So now for this season, at least, EJ and Gina are the main characters. So is that enough? Besides this, is it a normal season? No, not really. If you thought the setting change and a different main character wasn't enough, you'd be in complete agreement with the creators of this show. Because this season, Corbin Bleu, yes, that Corbin Bleu, is filming a documentary about the making of this musical. And because this show is already a mockumentary, that opens the door for some jokes that are very funny.
Oh my gosh, is that EJ Caswell from Disney Plus's Frozen the Musical, the series?
They would never call the show that. It's way too long and complicated, the title.
Get it?
We have a few new characters that I should mention as well. Maddox, the camp leader. Kinda. She is insufferable for most of the season until they reveal her backstory, that she was in a relationship with Jojo Siwa that was accidentally broken up with a different character. And then all of a sudden she becomes much nicer. We have Jet, Maddox's brother, who is also insufferable and angsty at the beginning until they reveal his tragic backstory, and then he becomes sympathetic. Good writing, guys. And the final main new character, there are minor new characters throughout, but the final main new character is Val, played by Addison from Zombies. And because we have so many new characters, some of the characters rarely get the time of day. Like, for example, Courtney. In the second last episode, I think, she has a song and a big emotional moment relating to conquering her anxiety. It's fine enough, pretty well written, but her character arc more or less doesn't exist before this song. The emotional moment could be the best written thing in the world, but if there was nothing that hinted towards it, then what's the point? This kind of happens with a lot of characters. Courtney, Carlos, and to a lesser extent Ashlyn all do nothing this season. Well, okay, now let's talk a little bit about the music of this musical show. The show is getting progressively more unhinged as it goes on, and this is by far the weirdest season. Like, similar to the last season, we have some songs that have a canonical reason to be happening, which makes sense for the vibe that was established in the first season. And we also have the weird dream sequence ones, which just make no sense. The show started as a way to parody musicals, but nope.
You were the chosen one! It was said that you would destroy this!
Musicals.
Not join them!
The characters also all just have one personality trait each, which makes them just so gosh darn fun to watch. If they were a little bit angsty before, they are exclusively angsty now. For some reason, this season is the shortest season, which is a little bit weird because this season feels like it needed a bit more time compared to the other seasons. It feels like all of the other seasons could have had less episodes, if anything, but the season needed at least a couple more. You see, throughout the season, we have the documentary thing, which is being run by two separate people. We have Corbin, who was in the original High School Musical trilogy, and is almost never portrayed in a negative light, because he's a celebrity. And we can't have our semi-famous Disney Channel celebrity do anything that's morally ambiguous. We also have Chandler, the evil behind-the-scenes manipulator of the documentary. Throughout the show, Chandler tries to manufacture drama, which occasionally leads to semi-funny moments, and at the end of the show, the cast are shown the trailer for the documentary, but it's been manipulated in horrible ways, making everybody mad at each other, and then, it's the end of the show, roll credits. I think I made this joke last time I reviewed this show. Sorry, geeks of the internet. Are we going to get any consequences for this documentary being edited in such a way? Any at all? Will it tie into next season? Can we have like one more episode? No? Okay. I didn't really talk about the actors in the last High School Musical review, but I've always thought that the actors in the show are genuinely good. It's just that the characters they're playing often aren't that deep, and you might think that I hate the show a lot, but I promise you, I don't. Trust me, if I hated this, I wouldn't have watched 3 whole seasons. The show infuriates me big time, but sometimes I don't want a deep show. I want a show that can make me laugh at how stupid it is and how weird it is, but I've formed such an attachment to this show, and I thought that there were some parts that were genuinely well written. I thought Maddox and Jet were great after their tragic backstories were revealed. EJ was great this season. Gina was annoying but sometimes good. And also the music in the show is insane. Like Gina and Corbin Bleu did a duet and it was awesome. The dream sequences merely add to my enjoyment of the show. It's wild and funny and great to watch. My enjoyment of the show is a perfect blend of ironic and unironic. But as an objective thing, 6 out of 10 and C tier. So, that's it. The 3 things which we will build this new season of The Good, the Bad and the Ugly upon. Wow, a movie version of a TV show, a bad Disney remake, and a 3rd season of another bad Disney remake. Well, hopefully we'll get back to some more mainstream, higher quality stuff in future episodes. Or maybe we'll just get worse. We'll probably just get worse, who am I kidding? Alright, thank you geeks of the internet, bye bye.